Good morning, everyone. This is the Sunday after Christmas Day, still within the octave of Christmas. Christmas was on Wednesday, this is Sunday, so we're still rejoicing in the blessings that we achieve, that we strive to achieve as we prepare ourselves and now participate in this festival. We're preparing through Advent, and now here we are, rejoicing in the light and really reflecting on what Christmas actually means in our lives and in the lives of others and in the life of the world. These festivals come regularly, thank goodness, because the world needs this injection from time to time. We do wander all over the place quite a bit in ones and twos and maybe more than that, and then as nations and then as the planet. And we need these festivals to correct that wandering around that we do, to suddenly remember what is the main point of all this? What's the point of having a life on earth? And what are we doing about it? And how are we taking advantage of the spiritual blessings? And how are we enriching our lives with those? And most importantly, how are we enriching the lives of others with these gifts? Let's just think a little bit about Christmas. Think about the way that it's presented in the New Testament. It's very interesting that the life of Jesus, the 3 years that we have of his recorded life, we have incidents of him when he was younger, going to the temple and so on and so forth. But the 3 solid years after the baptism, where he came out and started to teach every day, powerfully, he used signs and wonders. Signs and wonders woke everybody up. He used healing, he used other miracles to wake people up. For some people, this was the confirmation of the message. That is, sign will be given to you, as it says in the Epistle. The Lord himself shall give you a sign. And the particular sign that's referred to here is, behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel, the Anointed One. When we have things historically like the Renaissance in the 17th century, it started to be an age there where people did physical experiments. People looked at the stars and measured the planets, looked at the sun, looked at the cycle of sunspots, tried to work out what the tides were doing, tried to work out what light was, and so on and so forth. So from the 17th century, people didn't look for signs and wonders, didn't look for spiritual portents. When they saw an eclipse, they didn't immediately say, that's it, the plague's coming, we're in big trouble. When they saw a meteorite, they didn't say, oh no, that's it, it's all over, it's all finished. People before then did, because these were traditional signs used by the prophets to indicate that something special was going to happen on earth, but they didn't know what. The people from the 17th century, the so-called Renaissance, the birth of science and eventually technology, people wanted to get away from that idea of, yes, all right, well, there's science, but what do they mean? I can read my astrological chart for today, but when it says, you'll meet a stranger and you'll be richer for it, when's that going to happen? What's the name of the stranger? And how much money am I going to get? So it was like that. I was being a bit silly, but that's the idea that people wanted to get onto. Where we are now in the 21st century, we've gone from the first stirrings of that desire to know what was going on in the 17th century. Now we have such a powerful body of what we call science and technology that we have no time at all for signs and wonders. A lot of us don't think they actually exist or didn't really happen or really aren't true. So the pendulum has swung violently in the opposite direction. And with it, we no longer think about the story behind the story. Metaphysics is what goes on behind physics. Physics started to be studied in the 17th right through to today, and people stopped thinking about what's actually behind this. What's the physical reality? I'm going to measure that. What's the spiritual reality? People stopped asking that question, and they still do today. Religion, in the traditional sense, still continues to be less and less important for people's lives. And of course, what's happened is, as we say, the baby has been thrown out with the bathwater. So, are our lives richer? No. Are our lives full of gadgets? Yes. Are the gadgets attractive? And do they go bong and bing? Yes, they do all that stuff. Is it satisfying for a long time? Nope. We need a new bright and shiny one pretty soon after that. So when it goes bing and bong in a different way, and then we're happy again. The spiritual truths are nothing like that. The spiritual truths that were promised with Christmas came with a promise that this will go on forever. The journey, the spiritual journey, will continue forever, and the depth of understanding will continue. The feeling of growing contentment, satisfaction in life, the earnest desire to help one another, that will continue to increase. And most importantly, the realization of people that are doing these things is that's where satisfaction really comes from. Of course, all these other technology is very, very useful, but it's not the answer to the satisfaction. It's just useful. What is sustainably important are spiritual truths. The spiritual story behind the physical signs and wonders. So Christmas time is full of giving presents and gifts. Sometimes we forget what that's all about. It's a commemoration of the Magi giving gifts to the baby in the manger. And we'll come to the Epiphany later and think about the reality of that gift giving. As we know, when we meet our families at Christmas time, yes, it's busy, yes, sometimes people get a little bit scratchy and a little bit fractious, but the coming together of family at Christmas reminds us of the really important things. The really important things of love for the family, where we have, if you like, the opportunity of learning how to love one another. Some of our families drive us nuts from time to time, and I'm sure we drive them nuts as well. But we're still in the family. And so we have the experience of little spats, a little bit of this and that, but here we all are, part of the family, and we forgive. Most important, we forgive. The Christian message is extend that love out. Nurture it. Get used to it. Grow it in the family environment. And then to your next door neighbours. And then to the people at work. And then the people you meet every day. When you say, "How are you?" to somebody, you're really saying, "God bless you." And you can say that in your mind. When you are saying with your voice, "How are you?" you can say in your mind, "God bless you." And that's the extension of the coming of the Christ in our hearts. That's Christmas. And that's putting Christmas into action. So the Epistle and the Gospel are full of really, really important messages. But it really comes down to these things. The realization of the Christ in our hearts. The realization that we can expand our awareness of Christ every moment of every day, if we choose to. The lasting satisfaction that that present delivers day on day on day for our whole life. Until we expand our shall we call it, the area of influence of everywhere we go, such that we can bring light into the world as Christ brought light into the world. And is it us? Well, we're trying to do it. And what are we doing it with? The light of Christ within us. That's Christ Mass. That is the light of the world. And we are the light of the world. And in our dealings and comings and goings, we expand Christ's light in the world. So, we don't see Christ with our eyes, but we're down here on the physical plane, and this is our scientific experiment. We're going to put the metaphysics, that is, the force behind the effect, into action. We're going to say, how do you do? We're going to forgive all the family members that upset us at Christmas time. We're going to learn to get along with one another. The real message of Christmas is spreading Christ's love, and that's how we do it. Sometimes it's easy, and sometimes it's hard. So Christmas is all sorts of things, to all sorts of people. But just remember these things now that we've been thinking about in this short time we're together. Meditate, ruminate, just turn them over in your mind from time to time. Most of all, put the love of Christ, that's the Christmas present, put the love of Christ into your daily life. Think on those things this week.